this Newcastle team. Gus, how has this happened?
Yeah, I think it's a culmination of a lot of hard work. Sometimes you're working hard and doing things right through the off-season, the early part of the season, but it's not gelling on game day. You've got to persevere with it. You've got to find the players that will persevere with it and come through that process. And I think they finally got their groove. I think the big thing was admitting the error in having Kalyn Ponga playing 5'8".
Correct.
I think that was a big problem at the start of the year, and that's great leadership from the coach. You know, coaches don't always get it right. Leaders don't always make the right decision. But when you know you've made a mistake, to turn it around and admit it and then put it right, that's what he's done. And I think everyone took a giant sigh of relief. It's really helped Kalyn Ponga, and if it helps Kalyn Ponga, it's going to help the Newcastle Knights. And since then, it's just been a snowball of confidence, born of their ability. They realise now that they can tear sides apart with this attacking game. That gives them greater confidence in defence. They're working as a unit, and you can see physically how strong, fast and fit they are. That's a culmination of a lot of work over a long period of time. You just don't click your fingers and get that. They'd probably been working hard for a long period of time, but not showing it on game day. Then eventually, after months of that, it's sort of culminated in these physical performances that they're putting forward, and they're just too good for their opponents at the moment.
Gus, we're just sort of analysing a coach at Souths and saying how hard it's been for him at the moment. And a few weeks ago, Adam OBrien, everyone was saying he was gone. Every coach under the sun was being allegedly talked to, auditioned, for his job. When you're under that sort of scrutiny, how do you come out of it as a coach? Do you rely on people? Do you just stick to your beliefs? What's the key to coming through a difficult personal position like that?
You've got to trust yourself and trust your process. You've got to be honest with yourself. You've got to be honest. You know, sometimes the results don't come. And sometimes people on the outside are losing their minds and they're blaming it on you, and you have to keep believing in what you're doing. Now, if you're not doing the work, if you're not being honest in your self-appraisal, if you're not holding players to account, then you deserve the results you get. But sometimes you are. Sometimes you're working hard, you're working the players hard, they're questioning you. People on the inside are questioning you, but you keep pushing it because you know it's the right thing to do, and then eventually it turns. You can't be influenced by the outside noise, the outside criticism, or people saying that your job's in jeopardy. You've got to believe, I'm doing the right thing and I'm doing it at 100% of my ability, this will turn. And it did turn. With all that hard work and everything, I still think a major decision was to put Ponga back to fullback, to admit, OK, we've got that wrong, it's in his best interest, it's in the team's best interest, we made a mistake, and it's really blossomed. But it's on the back of a lot of hard work over a long period of time. What Newcastle have done in the last 7 weeks, no one clicked their fingers to make that happen. That's probably 12 months of hard work, all right, where they haven't cut a corner, where they've pushed themselves at training, where they've probably, you know, where players haven't been able to handle the pace in the training field, you know, and questioning the methods, to finally where it starts to come out on game day. And that's what you've got to keep persevering with. And you've got to find the players that will go through that process and come out the other side with you. If they get lost behind, leave them behind. You've got to go with the ones that can handle it and do it, because they're the ones that have got to stand up on game day under the pressure.
On top of that, Kalyn Ponga probably, in my opinion, in the past hasn't maybe put off the persona that he's that professional. I think in years gone by. When he's gone back to fullback this year, the origin period come around, he had the opportunity to probably play for Queensland or not. He come up and said, nah, I'm not playing for Queensland, I'm devoting myself to Newcastle, I'm going to put Newcastle first. And mate, hasn't that paid dividends for him? He's been unbelievable since he's come back and played and come back from whatever injury he had and playing for Newcastle. He has been absolutely dynamic, and to be fair, in years gone by, Ponga has never really consistently performed for the Knights. He's always performed for Queensland, as we know, and whenever he's put a rep jersey on, he's played well, and he's played well for Newcastle at times, but not consistently. And the way he's playing at the moment, he's playing consistently well, week in, week out. He's on fire, and he's really leading their team around the park.
Didn't decide the game yesterday, Gus, certainly didn't, but an 8-tackle set in this day and age. How do we come up with that?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's a storm in a teacup. It did not decide the result, you know. And in this day of 0 tackles and 6 agains and 7 tackle sets, every now and then it's going to happen. One's going to slip through. It's probably happened a few times this year, but not been noticed because no one scored, or they kicked on tackle 4 instead of tackle 5. You know, it can happen. Players get confused. We see players get caught on the last tackle because they're unsure of the tackle count and don't know where they are with it. We see players kick on tackle 3 and 4. We think, why did they do that? Because they think it's tackle 4 or 5. You know, these sort of things happen all the time. Now, it's unfortunate here, but that did not beat South Sydney, nor was it the reason South Sydney conceded the try. Because in this era of 6 tackle sets and 6 agains, sometimes you've got to tackle for 14, 15 tackles in a row, and still not concede the points. They should have defended that.
Yeah,
they didn't defend that.
No one knew. I agree with Gus. No one knew. It wasn't an issue on the field. No one knew on the field at the time. And yeah, sure, because they scored from it, we've come back and noticed it and speaking about it now. But I agree, it's a storm in a teacup. It didn't cost them the game, and there's no way the players on the field, the South Sydney players or any player on the field, would have known it was an 8 tackle set. No way.